Hello everybody, this is a presentation on first-person language. Quick overview, there are roughly 54 million Americans right now who have disabilities. To break it down a little more, that's roughly 1 in 5 people, any 1 in 5 people who could have any sort of disability. The people that have disabilities right now make up the largest minority group in our country. And one thing that needs to be worked on is the idea of person first language. It's really is just a way to talk and communicate to or about people with disabilities that is not defining the person by their disability. It is very important to talk about them as a person, things they like, strengths, that sort of thing, and then you can introduce the disability. Person first language is a way to acknowledge that there is a disability in a more respectful way. One big thing on this is describing the disability as something the person has, not who the person is. Like I said, this is something that demonstrates manners and respect. It's not looked at to be politically correct. It's just more so the right way to treat people and to talk about people. This is important for people without disabilities to see people differently in a positive way, and it can also change the way that the people with disabilities see themselves in a positive way as well. One thing that I liked from one of the articles we read that says people live, machines function, and really we just need to eliminate the special needs descriptor altogether. Like I said earlier, we really need to focus on the student's strengths and interests and then identify the disability. Another quote that I picked up that I really liked was when it said, "I am not my disability," which I think is fantastic. The disability should not define the person. One thing also about person first language is it's celebrating being unique because it makes each person who they are. It's having a disability is just like having blonde hair, brown hair, green eyes, whatever the case may be. Some examples of person first language. We would say children or adults with disabilities instead of handicapped, disabled, or special needs. He has autism instead of he's autistic, or he's an autistic child. He has Down syndrome instead of he's Down. She has a learning disability instead of she's learning disabled. Some more people without disabilities instead of saying normal people, because once again you're defining people either by their disability or not by their disability instead of putting the person first. Another example, she uses a wheelchair instead of she's confined to a wheelchair. He has a physical disability rather than he's crippled or quadriplegic. We can also say she receives special ed services instead of she's a SPED kid or whatever the case may be that people say. They have a brain injury, not they're brain damaged. And then there's a congenital disability instead of a birth defect. And then something I also thought was good was the disability etiquette video. And these are just guidelines with how to approach people with disabilities, some things you should not, or conclusions you should not jump to right away. And one thing that stuck out was do not assume anything. Don't assume that people with disabilities want or need your assistance. Don't assume you know how to help without being asked or told. Don't assume a person who appears to have one kind of disability has others as well. people with disability, or don't assume people with disabilities aren't satisfied with their quality of life. Because the truth is, you have no idea about their quality of life, and you're not one that should be capable to judge that. Don't assume that people with disabilities are all easily offended, and don't assume that people with disabilities automatically can't do something. And I thought that was a really great video and some really great guidelines and tips on things that you should not do or say. And the overwhelming thing here is put the person before their disability. People are not defined by their disability, nor should they be. And I think everybody needs to work on that, whether it's how we talk to our colleagues or how we're talking at home, how we talk to our friends. We should all fall under the same umbrella using person first language.